Hey guys, welcome back to Vince-Vell Customs. This is part 5 of the PrototypeZ Sagat paint-up. Basically, at this point we're going to be adding magnets. Now, I really haven't added magnets to a lot of my stuff yet, so I'm kind of learning myself in a way. But basically, on eBay, I found a guy. His name is Glenn. He owns a store in California, Burbank, Hobbies. I'll leave it in the description. He's been really hooking me up with a lot of good deals on paints and supplies. He's been beating out a lot of prices for me, so if you're looking to get some supplies other than like garage kit colors like Tamayas, glues, magnets, check him out. See if you can get a hold of them and see if you get some deals. But basically he's got these earth magnets, and they come in very different sizes and stuff. Pretty strong. I know that eBay sells some magnets too, but I've heard stories that some of them are pretty bad and they're really cheap and they don't hold, but these suckers are pretty damn strong, and it's kind of, be careful where you have them, because it'll, like, if you just kind of hit it like here, it'll suck them up real quick. So be careful with these. They will pretty much take up anything. So I got a couple. I got 4 of the big ones and 3 of the smaller ones here. Smaller ones are going to be going into the heads, and the bigger ones are going into the hands. So basically, you either need yourself a pencil or a pen tool. Basically, put your magnet in the center of the hand and kind of mark it. Now, there's 2 ways of doing this. If you think you can actually make the circle perfect, where you can get the magnet in there, like this is this little marker shot, so I'll probably just use the pencil. But if you think you get the circle perfect when you go to do your Dremel tool, and you want to do it that way and then just glue in, you can do that. It's up to you. Or you can actually just put out a huge square and take some Magic Sculpt or Aves, throw some Aves in there, push the magnet in, and then kind of smooth it all out and stuff. But the thing with these magnets, though, is I think you would really need to use some kind of a glue to kind of hold them in. Magic Sculpt or Aves probably won't hold the magnet well enough once you make the indentation. So that's the only thing I'm thinking of, and I've kind of run into in the past. So pretty much just getting the circle areas where I need to get them. Basically, just see we get in. So you just put the magnet circle here like that, hold it. Now I'm keeping a couple of them together because it's kind of easier. And you kind of get your circle. Now this one here is this piece is perfectly square, but this one kind of has got a little bit of a gap here where it didn't go completely flush. So what I might do is I'll actually Dremel out the magnet here, and then I actually might put some Aves in here, let it sit overnight, and then glue in the magnet, because it'll be kind of want to flush. So it gives me at least a circle around here. And then you do the same thing for the heads. Now I'm using the smaller magnet on the heads because I think the smaller ones will definitely hold them in, and they're not as powerful as these heavy ones, because the heavy ones really click in there, and for something small like this, I think smaller magnets would be a little bit better. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish doing my circles, and then I'm going to do my Dremel tools, and we'll come back of how I can get them in. The reason why I'm doing this before I paint it all up, it's easier to make sure you get the magnets in, they're going in and out, they're not popping out before you paint it up, because if you do all that, you paint it up, and then you try to do your magnets, and you run into issues where the hands are falling out and it's denting or whatever. Basically work it all out before you paint it. So this is all the process before you get it all set, and then once it's ready to paint, you paint it, you're done. So we'll come back after I get some of these holes up and ready and situated. The Dremel tool I'll be using is just my typical Dremel tool that I showed in the past. Alright guys, so basically I drilled all the holes on all these pieces in here, and I put the magnets with little marks. Now I got to keep them away because they just keep pulling in together and they're a pain in the ass actually. So basically what I did is I got these holes here on the hands too. So what I'm going to do is, the black marks on the magnets mean that these two pieces have the black mark showing, but when I put them into the hands, the black mark won't be showing. So this way I know you don't glue them in and then when you try to put them together, they push apart. You want to make sure you're getting in the correct way. So after looking over this and stuff, it's going to be a little difficult, but it's kind of working my way. So basically, I have my extra thick glue, this type of glue, and I'm going to really pull a lot in here. And then take my magnet. Now, there is still some gaps there and stuff, so what I might do is I might take some Aves later on tonight and put some Aves around it, kind of just flush it and let it dry for the night. I'm not going to actually toy with it, because if I try to do these magnets and put them together and pull it out, the glue's not going to stick. So after you glue that in, you take your zip kicker or your Inst-Set, whatever you got, and spray it in there. So, and then that's the first magnet. Now we'll do this one. Now because this one's got this weird little gap here and it's not really flush, I probably won't do the magnets in the hands yet, because I kind of want to get this kind of evened out. So what we're going to do is we'll put this magnet in. Now before I glued this though, I was putting the magnets in and out to make sure that they were going in correctly and they were kind of flush at the side. Now it's okay if they're pushed in a little bit, but you don't want them raised out, because if you raise them out and you put them in, the arms won't be flush. So just to make sure too, you could kind of put your arm there and make sure, you know, it's not pushing anything or anything like that. So we at least got that one done, and we'll get this one pushed in too. Now don't be shy with the glue, throw a little extra in there, because I didn't make sure it was super flat when the magnet goes in, but it goes in pretty decent. So this has got a little extra here, so we'll just take that off. And just hit that. And you want to make sure that this hand's going in correctly too. It's not pushing anything. Looking good. So that's basically that right there. So what we'll do is we'll mix up some Aves and we'll kind of push it around. I'll show you what I'm doing with that. So let's get that set up. Alright, so every magnet's in, it's drying up. Even though you use the zip kicker and you're going in there, you really want it to be set. So I have some Magic Sculpt I mixed up, and basically what I'm going to do is just take some of my fingers and kind of just go around the edge a little bit, just to kind of fill up a crack or two here and there. The reason why I'm using the Magic Sculpt is because I like the way Magic Sculpt really hardens and sticks. So it's kind of just filling in the gaps, kind of like the key it in almost. I'm not saying it's going to guarantee it's going to stay pretty well, because you want the magnets to sort of touch, but this kind of helps it out. And you just want to make sure everything's going flush as always. So now this key might not be pushing against this exactly, so what I'm going to do is, like I said, let this dry overnight, and then I'll put in the other magnet here, but I'll have to see if it's actually touching, because you kind of want them to touch so they hold. So it's still like new to me, but this is kind of what I'm coming up with. So what I'm going to do now is I'll fix all this up, and then I'll come back to the video tomorrow and we'll see how we can get the rest of it. Alright guys, real quick, I was just doing some tests before I actually put this aside for tonight. What I found out was the head pieces here, they don't actually touch all the way to the bottom. So if I put the magnet in there, I'd have like a little bit of a gap that the magnets aren't touching. So with the extra Magic Sculpt I had, I built out the neck a bit. Basically what I did is I just pushed this onto here, and I pushed it in there to see if it would touch, and I was realizing it wasn't touching the bottom. So as you can see on both heads, I added a little bit of extra length onto them. They're not super pretty, but at least that they add some length. And then as you can see, when I pushed it in, it gave me kind of a circle where the magnet is. So this gives me an idea of, you know, these will be at least flush when you put them in. And I'm actually thinking that it might have to do it with the hands as well. But since I already put the magnets in here, which is not a problem, basically I'll just wait till this stuff dries overnight, till tomorrow, come back, and I'll fill up this with some magic sculpt, so this is actually touching this area, so when I put the magnet in, magnet is touching magnet. That's what you really want. You don't want them, you know, going too far away. In theory, I should have had this pushed out more, but that's fine. It's still a hit, so we'll come back tomorrow once that's all set up. But this is part of the process. Sometimes you find things that work, sometimes things that don't, and it's just about a kit. But once you learn what the problem is and how to fix it, and if you do more kits, you'll actually understand what to do down the line. So like I said, I don't do a lot of magnet work, but since I'm learning myself, you're learning with me, so we just kind of work out the details as we go. Alright guys, this is the next day, and what happened was I woke up this morning and I wanted to test some things on the Sagat. So basically what happened was first I did these two magnets. I glued in these magnets and they went in pretty good. This head went in pretty well. I had no issues with this one. Yeah, there's a seam, but that's what's going to happen. You can't really go away from that unless it was some kind of a cloth or set up like the pants and all that. What happened with this head though is when I glued this one in, now it's all good, but what happened was it was pushing out too much. So I actually had to pop out the magnet, drill a little bit deeper, sand down, and then redo it. And now it's all pretty good. It's in there very well. So when you turn them upside down and shake, no issues. Same thing with this one. So they're in there pretty good, and I'm happy. So after that, like I said last night, I had to actually fill this in a little bit more because this wasn't actually touching this. So if I actually had the magnets in, they would be like that far away. But now when I put them in and after I did the magnets, they go in really well. I mean, they're really in there pretty good. So when you shake them, go upside down, and you actually got to kind of pop them out to actually get there. Now there's a little bit of a gap here, a little bit of a gap here, but you can hide this with paintwork. So when I paint them all up, I'll do some deep shadow in here a little bit with the white. So this way when you put it over there, it'll look like some shadowing and stuff. So you can kind of hide that and stuff. So it works out pretty good. Now, you know, you don't have to do the magnet work. You can just pretty much glue them in and all that. The reason why I'm doing the magnet work is because it's easier to break them down. If you sell them, send them to a friend, move him, you can break it all down in pieces. I think maybe the next Sagat I do, I might not actually have a change of head. I might just pick one head and just leave it on there and glue it, you know, attach it, and then the other head leave it alone. The next video, what we're going to do is when we come back is we're going to set him up for the base. Now what I'm going to do is, after doing all this work and deciding, I'm actually going to pin his right leg into the base, but I'm going to leave the other leg, the left leg, as keyed, and I've put the tiny magnets that I did here, I'll do into there. Basically, I want to do that because this way you can pop them in and out of the base. You can break down the body, take off the hands, and you can take off the heads. So it's pretty cool for the first Sagat that I'm doing, and any of the Sagats down the line I can change it up and do different things. So we'll be back. Thanks for watching. Hopefully this gives you guys some ideas. Maybe you guys want magnets, maybe you don't want magnets. Maybe you want to do the heads with pins, because you don't actually have to use magnets. You can actually pin it and just put pins in and out. It's up to you. And of course the hands, you could glue in the hands, or you can keep them separate. It's all your kit, what you want to do and what you think is best. But I'm just trying to do the best options I could possibly do with this and see what happens. So we will be back, and the next video will be pinning the base, getting the legs on, and getting that organized. And then once that's all done, I'll fine tune him and we'll start the paint work. Thanks for watching.